Screen printing heat transfers for short-run live event printing, as well as pre-print options for your customers, is a great solution. And through our previous heat transfer videos, as well as our blogs, we've become a leader in heat transfer information as well as supply. This video is a quick update on how you can use our new WillFlex Epic Lava inks to screen print your own transfers. In this video, we're going to be doing a 2-color transfer. For this video, we'll be using Ryonet 15x15 premium hot split transfer paper, transfer adhesion powder, as well as our Lava Perfect White and our Really Red. For this print, we're going to be using 110 mesh screens. There are 2 typical ways to accomplish multiple color transfers. First is you can do color by color by printing the first color, taking it off, putting the powder on, drying it, and then re-registering it for the second color. Or you can do it inline, which we'll be using in this video, by sticking it down to the platen. Either way, you're going to want to take your transfer paper and run it through the dryer to pre-shrink it before going on press. Once again, we're going to be using a 110 mesh screen to let a good amount of ink through and have a good deposit on the transfer. So for this, we're going to be using the round side of the scoop coater with cryo-cut emulsion, doing a 2/1 coat. When we burn our image, we actually burn it backwards. So this image was burned the correct way, which would be printed the correct way on the shirt, so it shows backwards from the back side. Now this side, this is actually our transfer print, and you can see it's backwards from this one, which would be printed backwards directly, but since we're taking the transfer and flipping it over, shows up the right way. You can do this either by flipping the films over or by printing your films invertedly through your Photoshop program. This video is emulating a short run production, so we're only going to be using spray tack to hold down the transfer. For more advanced multicolor transfers, we'd actually use a vacuum press doing 1 color at a time, and then instead of these little registration marks, we'd actually be using a jig to make sure the paper goes in the same spot every single time on the vacuum platen. For the process, we'll start by putting our transfer paper face up with the decals facing down against the sprayed tacked platen. When printing transfers, everything's backwards, so we'll do our first color last and our last color first. We're using a newer screen with tension above 20 newtons. We have about 1/8 inch off contact and using a sharp 70 Duro squeegee. You can see this lava ink is very easy to print, especially through a 110 mesh. You want to print with a very exact print stroke. Flood the screen, keep your angle a little higher and pressure medium. Too low of angle and too much pressure will make your print blur out or bleed out, and you won't get good edges. Typically 1 pass is good, and that's what you want to try to do when you're accomplishing this. However, if you do need 2 passes, you want to be very careful with that second pass. Printing on paper is a lot different than printing a t-shirt. Paper does not absorb, it does not move like a t-shirt does, so your print stroke and pressure have to be much more exact, especially if you're doing 2 passes. Once done with the print, we do a quick flash. You want to make sure that your flash is not too hot and shrinks your paper. You want to keep your flash cooler, either by raising it up or lowering the temperature, and flashing to ensure your ink is not getting over 280 degrees. After you're flashed, we can let the print cool and do our second color. Notice that our second color is a full underbase, meaning that the print underbases the outside and the print that we've already accomplished. Underbasing the entire print with multiple color transfer would be the same for light or dark prints in this fashion. You need wet ink for the transfer adhesion powder to stick to. So even this garment, this yellow garment, might not need that white underbase. We need to do that for this process. Doing multiple color transfers the other way, which we'll reference in another video, we actually can get away with doing a solid underbase. After our last pass is done, you can take off the transfer and apply the transfer adhesion powder. This is done with a big bin and simply dipping in the wet transfer into the transfer adhesion powder and tapping it off. This can be a little bit messy, so you want a big bin and you want to be careful not to breathe this directly. Ensure the transfer powder is all the way off because this can also stick to the shirt. Next, we move to curing. This is the key to good transfer printing. Transfers need to cure between 270 and 280 through the entire ink film. So we're going to be using a conveyor dryer to consistently do this. We take our laser temp gun to measure out what's actually happening in the dryer. Now, this is a thicker transfer, so the ink surface may need to be slightly hotter. Right now, we're reaching right about 290 to 300. Could be a little bit too hot, but since it is thicker, it might be okay. Once we actually go to heat press, if the transfer is sticking and not releasing, we can then either speed the dryer up or lower the temperature to adjust that dwell time. A good transfer cures at 280 degrees the entire ink film once again. It's actually pretty easy to test it too. Simply try to peel the edge of the transfer. If it peels back and stays stuck together coming off the transfer paper, your cure is great and you're good to go. If it crumbles and your fingers get wet ink on it, it's not cured enough, and if it won't come off at all, it's over-cured. To transfer this, we're going to set our heat press from 320 to 330 degrees and heat press with a medium pressure at 10 to 12 seconds. These are hot peel transfers. That means we peel directly once they come off press. Things should release pretty good, and you should have a slight ghost on the transfer paper with the majority ink going onto the garment. Done properly, you should only leave but a slight haze on your transfer paper. If your ink is not coming off, that means you're either over-cured or you're not having enough heat or pressure during the transfer process. Now, lava ink feels great once it's transferred and it's super opaque due to the suede properties, soft hand feel, but a great opacity of lava Plastisol inks. You can check out all the stuff that you saw in this video available on our website, screenprinting.com. We also have a great knowledge-based article available on the support system of our website that goes in-depth on how to screen print transfers. We'll also do one follow-up video for this on how to do multiple color transfers using the vacuum platen method. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great screen printing videos.